Good afternoon. This is Bob Passy, and I'm going to talk a little bit about where we are, where we find ourselves, and I think it's not hard to understand that we find ourselves in pretty much of a mess. Certainly in the United States, but really worldwide, we have found ourselves in the midst of a system that isn't working on any level. It just, what you have is you have breakdowns of the political system, breakdowns of the family system, breakdowns of international cooperation, breakdowns of the economic systems in terms of the benefits of that economic system going to only just a few on the very top. It would be, I was talking to someone the other day, and we were talking about things that are wrong, and I said it would be a much shorter list to talk about the things that are working in this political system. We had to think pretty hard to think of anything that was working. We have a system that is based on a narrative that is kind of a worldview, kind of a paradigm of what its life is like and how it should be working for us. And that paradigm, that worldview no longer works. It was a very materialistic worldview, and it basically, in its extreme, it has kind of destroyed the idea at the heart of what makes people human, and that is the sort of the life, the compassion, the connection, the community. That doesn't really, is not part of it. It has been reduced to pretty much objective things like gaining possessions and gaining wealth and gaining power. I guess that's not so objective, the power part, but the power means you get to control how the rest of the world works and how people work and how they see themselves. And part of what goes on here is that they have convinced us, ordinary people, that we are pretty meaningless, and in that system that they've created, we are pretty meaningless. We just are there to create products and to consume them and to keep the economy going. Which is not, it's not a very rich kind of life. And of course, we are spiritually dying in that. And that is why you have these extreme outbursts of violence. The system is based on a feeding off of life, turning life into a commodity that can be bought and sold, and in the process, killing the very thing that keeps human life feasible in this environment. And in the process, we are killing the planet. The planet will eventually just have to get rid of us if we don't figure out how to make this shift that has to happen. Of course, that's the other big thing. We have a system, social system, that not only in the United States but all over the world is not focused on human values anymore, and we have an environment that no longer is willing to support our indulgence in that kind of thinking. So it's going to close down to the degree that to such a degree that we can't function anymore, that the human race will disappear, and they'll find some more reasonable life form to take our place, because we are certainly, it's like we're being run by addicts. They're so addicted to wealth and power that they're willing to sell out anything, the life itself. And we know that from the study of addiction of any kind. And we seem to be following them. They have convinced us that we are powerless by ourselves, which is absolutely not true. No life is created without the ability to survive. I mean, within ourselves, we contain the seeds of greatness, and they're so afraid that we're going to figure that out. Einstein, a long time ago, discovered or found this idea that about energy is called E equals mc squared. The E is energy, and the m is the mass or the amount of stuff, and the c squared is the speed of light squared. The speed of light is just, I think it's like 186,000 feet per second or something. It's just an incredible amount. And so as a human being, in your mass, you have energy that is great as the atomic bomb. We just have to access that energy. And they've been telling us that they are so afraid that we're going to figure it out one day, and that we're going to realize that we can make change happen. We can find a different paradigm. We can find a different narrative. And when we do, we will take control of our own life, take control of our own nation, take control of the world, and we'll realize that we don't have to wait for change. We don't have to do change through agents. In other words, we don't have to wait for an election before we can think about making a change, and then go through the process of electing people, and then go through the process of the legislative process and the political process, and then maybe years from now you get some change. Well, there are no years from now. That's over. We don't have that many years to be functioning as a human in a human society anymore. The planet is saying, you've squandered too much. You have to make this change, and you can't wait for those people who have said they're these great leaders that you should follow to do. I mean, you have to let go of them. You have to quit. You have to just say, you have been horrible leaders. We all know they have been. My goodness, they have been. And we have to acknowledge that we can make decisions for ourselves. We don't have to have their permission. We don't have to have them pass a law. All we have to do is to pick up the power, the human power that we have, and to recreate a human environment and a human society. We have had human societies before in the United States, not perfect, but during the New Deal, we had a way, way, way more human and functional society than we have now. But they've gotten rid of democracy, and they have gotten rid of this idea that compassion and humanness and the life force of this planet are anything important. It is time for us to claim our own power. It is time for ordinary heroes. Every one of us can be a hero, and probably have been in our lives. You have done wonderful things at certain times in your life, and you can do them again. And if you choose to be an ordinary hero, to walk past the role they say that you have no power and that you should be afraid and you should be defensive and you should accept whatever they tell you you should do, you will change the world. And we need to change the world. If we don't change the world soon, we're not going to have a world that human life can survive in. It's the very universe is pushing us to step up, walk away from this horribly bad leadership, and recreate the world. And we all know how to be those kind of heroes. And we all know how powerful we will be if we just connect in community with other people and find cooperative ways to survive and to have a sustainable future. We need to do it, and we need to do it now. That's for now. We'll talk again later. Bye now.